All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And I did not expect this today, but 343 actually released Forge footage. And lo and behold, if I were them, I would have done the vice versa of what they did, or should I say the backwards version of what they did, because it looks like, among other things, Halo and 343 are doing things backwards. And this is a prime example. And what do I mean by that? Well, last week, they basically revealed that everything would, again, once more be delayed, and that the upcoming quote-unquote content we're going to get is not really all that much if you take Forge out of the equation, right? And again, disappointment after disappointment, lies after lies, and this is one of the major reasons why so many people absolutely despise 343 and why they want them gone. And the more research I do about it, the more I have to say, you know what? They could absolutely be right. And we've also been patient, but at the same time, we can't ignore the fact that we're still on the outside looking in, and there's still a lot that we don't know. But, the proof is in the pudding, and time unveils all. So at this point, it's like they've already pretty much lied to us at this point, right? They really have. They've lied to us. It really is that simple. At one point in time, they basically said that campaign co-op was pretty much ready to go, and then lo and behold, it wasn't. And here is the funny thing. Last week, they revealed, that everything was going to be delayed, and then obviously this week, they reveal Forge. Well, I personally think it's too late. And that's another thing I want to bring out in this video, is that, do you agree with that, or do you disagree? Because as mentioned before, in the gaming world, you can come back, even if it's after a year. All it really takes is word of mouth, and for people to, if you look at the growth of Elden Ring was bought by people that otherwise wouldn't have bought it, including yours truly, if it wasn't for the word of mouth and just how great it was. And basically, the same can happen for Halo and 343 later on down the future. However, so far we've been met with nothing but lies, disappointments, and lack of transparency, despite the fact that they said that they would be transparent. And if I was them, what I would have done was I would have released Forge footage last week instead of this week, right? And the thing is, look, at the end of the day, Forge, in terms of what they revealed today, it's pretty damn impressive. So for those of you guys that don't know what Forge is, it's basically a map editor, but much, much more than that, like to the nth degree. It's actually pretty damn impressive in terms of what you can do and where the limits are, and how much less limits there are, especially compared to like Halo 5's Forge is said to be the best iteration of Forge ever by the community. And this blows it out of the water, to say the least. And on top of that, you can also create modes. But the problem is, custom game browser is not going to be released until March, if my memory serves correct. So if custom games browser is not coming out until March, but you got Forge coming out, it's like, sure, you got plenty of time to make a whole bunch of content, but it's like, you have to understand that the community does not want to wait, and they've already waited a shit ton of time, mind you, right? For some simpler things to come out. Simpler things. What do I mean by simpler things? Well, there's modes, for instance, right? Like take a mode like Griffball that was actually created by the community itself, thanks to previous iterations of Forge. And then it became a main thing. Now, obviously, with this iteration of Forge, we could obviously have much more, right? It could go on to the nth degree, right? We could have so many more game modes coming out and all that kind of stuff, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, well, 343 is supposed to do their part as a developer and be like, listen, like, make the modes. You already know what the community wants. Why aren't you at least putting modes into the game for people to play? And why are you taking away modes that are popular? Now, I understand that according to 343, which we can't trust everything they say, right? We can't trust everything they say because they've already proven otherwise. We can't basically say, like, they said that Last Spartan Standing was their most, their least popular mode, if not one of the least popular modes, so they had to take that out. But we've also seen in other games how they just rotate things that are very popular. Seriously. There are other games out there that rotate popular playlists, despite the fact of how popular they are, or how unpopular they are, whatever the deal is. They just rotate playlists for whatever reason. The problem is that they're trying to control what you play. And that's a huge problem, because ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to play the mode that you want to play. And if there's not a mode in there for you to play, guess what? You're not going to play it. This was why And by the way, this took them 3 weeks to do, right? This is why Team Deathmatch or Slayer was added in after release. Because every other Halo game had Slayer on release, right? And different iterations of that as well. But it didn't in this game. And it's like, how in the world do you release a game without Slayer, right? So this is one of the many, many reasons upon the lies that have been said throughout time and proof of that as well. And just the fact that they can't do the simplest of tasks. I understand that things like desync are a much more complicated task probably, but when you're talking about game modes and stuff like that your community can create, and as well as the fact that split screen co-op actually does work through a glitch in this game. Granted, it works fine, but you're risking your memory or whatnot or something like that by playing it or some shit like that. But split screen co-op works via glitch. So if you eliminate that glitch, which pretty much every developer can do at this point with some time and some effort and stuff like that, if you eliminate that glitch and get rid of the risks of, the problems to the memory, it's like, why doesn't split screen co-op work? it's like split screen co-op does work via glitch. So it's like, but they scrapped that anyway. It's like, despite the fact that they've already lied about having it ready in the first place a while ago and everything like that. So it's like, pretty much at this point, anything that 343 says, even if they bring Joseph Staten or Staten, however you pronounce his last name, I apologize. And I love the guy and I respect the guy because of what he's done throughout the years of the Halo community. And I understand that he was brought in later on to clean up the mess, so to speak, which is, in my opinion, damn near impossible from the looks of things. But who knows? Maybe time will tell, and we'll see what happens. However, it's like every single time we see him lately, it's like, uh-oh, here comes the boom. Here comes the bad news. You know what I mean? Because it seems like it's the only time that he ever comes on is like whenever there's going to be some good stuff, but at the same time, if there's something bad going on, it's like, we need to bring Joe in to kind of calm down the community or whatnot. He's like the David Vonderhaar of Halo at this point, right? Whenever we wanted to talk to somebody from Treyarch, Vaughn. And with Halo, it's like Joseph Staten at this point. So, and nobody knows Halo like he does. And I'm sure that if anybody has a crazy idea from 343 that would take the base out of what Halo is, that's not Halo, he would be the first to be able to obviously put a stop to that and be like, no, we're making a Halo game here. So it's like, and I'm pretty sure in the last update that they did, I'm pretty sure that what they did, like, I'm sure Joseph Staten, I'm not trying to put the words in the man's mouth or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure he was biting his tongue when the other dude, who I don't care enough to remember his name, who basically said that Halo was competitive from the Combat Evolved days. And that's what the DNA of what Halo truly is. It's like, or something of that nature that I'm paraphrasing. I'm sure Joseph was biting his tongue so that way he wouldn't publicly embarrass the guy live. Unless it was pre-recorded or some shit like that. I don't know. But anyway, to be like, no, that's not what Halo is. Halo is a party game, a party first-person shooter that became competitive later on by altering and changing a few of the maps, game modes, and stuff like that. And in terms of what's in the map, in the sandbox, and what you have access to and what you don't, and the game modes as well. So it's like, it started out as a party game, dude. It's a casual game at heart. And forcing competitive on the community is not something you want to do when the vast majority of the players are not competitive. Like, competitive as in pro or aspiring pro. And the thing is, it's optional. You're taking the options away when you're taking that aspect out, because not everybody is wanting to sweat all the time. Even the sweats don't want to sweat all the time, right? Even the pros don't want to sweat all the time. They're doing scrims, they're practicing in ranked, and it's like, hey, it would be nice to spend a few hours out of my 8 to 12 hours a day playing this game or more to just play casually and enjoy the game mode or whatnot, right? Right? I mean... And everybody, and even the pros themselves were casual at one point. It's not like they said, oh, I'm going to be a pro player, and then wham, bam, you see them, playing with Optic Gaming or anything like that. It's not how it works, man. So competitive was built from casual, believe it or not. It's like, okay, you played the game, you got better at it, you took it more seriously than the average bear, you played with your friends, and then you played with better players and stuff like that. It's like, hey, why don't, Let's see if we can actually be good at this thing and play on a pro team or something like that, or play against the best of the best and see how well you stack up, and then you kind of go from there, and it has that snowball effect. So it's like you can't be forcing things on the community, and especially since the game itself is free to play and everything like that. Like, one of the things that some of these other games do very well, like Fortnite, for instance, which is obviously a battle royale and stuff like that, it's like they're giving less and less limits to the player. Now, granted, there's always limits and everything like that. There's got to be a line drawn somewhere, but it's like when you give the player options to play in different ways, and we're not just talking cosmetics here. We're talking everything from weapons to game modes to custom game browser and stuff like that. Shit to just goof around in and stuff like that. I mean, why do you think games like Minecraft are so damn popular? Seriously. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't even play Minecraft and that is actually not interested in Forge, other than the fact that it's going to give us new maps and game modes, obviously, which are going to be created by the community. Or I might want something so specific that I might create it in there myself. I might get one of the maps that are already pre-made by somebody, right? Or just a regular old map that we already have made by 343 themselves. And guess what? I can alter things and then put them on the damn custom game browser or some shit like that. Now, granted, that wouldn't really require Forge, at least I don't think so. But if I wanted to change a few things, or if I wanted to add a Call of Duty map and build a Call of Duty map, or bring a map from Halo 3 like the Pit into Halo Infinite and construct that and make it into a free-for-all game mode with specific rules or something like that, I could do that. Or if I wanted to go, or if I wanted to go goofy with it, I could do that. You know? And that's where the power of Forge comes in. But the thing is, the developers have the power to just give us the basics of the basics. Like, I'm sure that there are so many other developers out there that are working for different games and stuff like that are just like shaking their heads at 343 and being like, dude, you guys are just, you know, it's like no wonder people are thinking that 343 is incompetent, right? Because it's like they're doing things kind of backwards, including the Forge reveal. They should have revealed Forge first because it was already leaked. Like, the pre-alpha footage has already been leaked so much, and people have created so many things. It's like that should have been first. And then after that, they should have done the reveal that they did last week or whatnot with Joseph Staten. That would have at least lightened the blow, right? You would think so. Doesn't that make sense at least? And especially since it was already mentioned beforehand, and it doesn't really take a genius to know that your community is not going to be happy for you to announce that the game's going to, like, the content's going to be delayed for another 6 months. And the fact that Forge is being released is great in November, which is great, but at the same time, it's like custom games browser, really? And then you've got Match XP beta? It's like, why is it a beta? Why don't we have a regular progression system like a prestige mode or whatnot, or the modes that or the tier modes that we have in Halo or that we had in Reach, like with the Inheritors? Why don't we have that? And that's all simple stuff, really. Simple stuff. Things like desync, probably more complicated, fine, but it should still be number one priority, because no matter how much content you put in the game, no matter what you do with the game, if the game is not functioning properly the way it should, guess what? You've got a serious problem, because it needs to function right. I guarantee you, even I'm going to use Fortnite as an example again, because it's for what it is, despite the fact that I don't play it and despite the fact that I don't do battle royales. I respect what they do with Fortnite. Granted, of course, it's not perfect. Who is? What is, right? But it's like if they had like a desync issue, I guarantee you they would, like, from their track record, I guarantee you they'd be working on it left and right. They'd be working on it nonstop until the problem was resolved, because it just wasn't working right. Like, you know, I can understand a game having hit detection problems, which a lot of multiplayer games have, but when it's to this degree, because of the desync being to this degree, it's like playing on a very high ping, and at the same time, things are not in sync, so to speak, in terms of what you're seeing on screen and what's actually happening according to the server. So that is a problem, and that should be on the forefront, because the game would be a lot more fun to play when things that are supposed to happen on screen do happen on screen. And it actually creates the opposite effect. The game becomes more aggravating to play, and you're pushing people away when you don't resolve that problem, or at least talk about it. You know, the first step to solving a problem is to admit there is one, right? And I'm sure they have talked about it at one point, but it's like we haven't talked about it ever since. Is this going to be like what Halo 5 was with heavy aim, to where it never really completely gets fixed? Is it going to be like that? Because the thing is, when desync is not as much of a problem and when the ping is working the way it's supposed to, the game feels great. But the thing is this, like, if I recently went back to Master Chief Collection, and if you play the Master Chief Collection, holy fucking shit, dude. If you play the Master Chief Collection, my God, that game, like, because I played Halo Infinite multiplayer ranked for like the last 9 months, right? When I went back and played the Master Chief Collection, the hit detection was so instantaneous. I thought I was playing in fast mode. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, do I have host or do I have this or do I have that? What's going on? Like, instantaneous. Instantaneous. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, this is great. It's like I never knew it, right? Despite the fact that I played it before. So, and then you go back, and then if you go back and play Halo Infinite, it's even like right after that, it's more prevalent. Or if you're playing a different game to where that's functioning a lot more properly as it should, without the desync or whatnot, it's like, okay, this is what a multiplayer first-person shooter is supposed to feel like in terms of, hey, my bullet's hitting over here and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So it automatically makes the game a lot more fun to play, even if your game is shit. Okay? And the thing that makes it even more aggravating is that the fact that the base of this game is incredible. So, I know I went off on quite a tangent in this video, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I just want to know, do you guys think it's too late for Forge? Like, despite the fact that it's coming in November, do you guys think it's too late that 343 is implementing Forge now? I mean, again, this is the gaming world, and games can, in fact, come back with the word of mouth and, of course, with social media and everything else. I mean, look at the success of Elden Ring. Elden Ring got very successful simply because of the word of mouth, which caused a lot of people that wouldn't have bought the game in the first place, like yours truly, to buy it. I recently bought it, and I will go back and I will play it. I will go back to playing it because I want to. And because it's a game that also deserves my attention, and it deserves the right to get my attention where it otherwise wouldn't. Because if it's that good of a game, I think every single player, even those that aren't interested in that kind of genre, should at least give it the respect it deserves to play it, to get into it and to learn it and to see and to have a taste of that kind of flavor of gaming. Because it was done right. It was done with passion. It was done without microtransactions pickpocketing you left and right. It was complete upon release. There was like some sort of glitch, I think, or some sort of issue with the PC version that was patched up 3 weeks or so after release or some shit like that. It's things like that. You know, I mean, imagine how disappointing the game of Elden Ring would be if it wasn't functioning properly. Holy hell. I don't even want to think about that, to be honest. But anyway, with that being said, guys, let me know down in the comment section what you guys think and what your opinions are. Do you think it's too late? Is Halo Infinite dead? Should 343 be gone? Should they be fired? Do you think 343 is the majority of the problem? Do you think it's the way Microsoft is handling things? Do you think it's Bonnie Ross? Do you think it's Frank O'Connor? Do you think it's whatever you think it is? Let me know. And chances are it's probably not just one thing. And that's the problem. Because over time, I was actually originally going to make a video praising the good side of 343 in terms of the good things they've done. But with the more research I do, man, and the more content I watch, the more comments I read in the comments section and all that kind of stuff, which brings me back to things that I actually forgot about or didn't know. It's like, yeah, there are more reasons to think that maybe 343 is the problem and maybe they should go. But at the same time, I'm on the outside looking in like most of us. But, you know, let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. Is it in fact too late for Forge? Or is it not? And do you still play Halo Infinite? Do you still have hope? Have you gone back to the Master Chief Collection? Or are you playing something completely different? How do you like Elden Ring? I mean, everything. Just let me know down in the comments section. And yeah, it's gonna be a long road for Halo until the complete turnaround happens. But only time will tell in terms of whether or not that actually happens. And so far, it is not looking good from what time and history has shown us with 343. Everything from the lies to the constant delays to the simplest of things not being done, you name it. So let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. Appreciate all the support. Thank you all for watching, especially to those of you that managed to stick around through the whole thing. I'll catch you guys on the next one.